Hi, Lauren here from the Afterlight. Just a heads up that this episode originally aired on Facebook and Instagram. So if you hear references to that, just wanted to give you a little bit of context. Enjoy. Thank you so much for listening to the Afterlight. Enjoy the episode. This episode's been brought to you by the Raw Spirit team. Growing your business is just the beginning. Too many business owners try to grow their business on their own. They spend countless hours testing out and investing in hundreds of strategies, all with the aim of building their business. Without support, someone helping to guide you and cheering you on, motivation starts to go down. Your passion starts to decrease. You start running out of money and losing faith in your business and yourself. The Raw Spirit team is a supportive community filled with expert programming, up-to-date training, guest experts, mentorship, and like-minded business owners. This isn't another community and another strategy. This is a serious and supportive community of business owners focused on supporting each other and building their business. You are welcome here. Okay, hello, it's Lauren Grace. I am the host of the Afterlight, which is a new podcast, which is dedicated to talking about spirituality and topics around that. So the podcast basically endeavors to give a safe platform for people to come and discuss with me subjects along the lines of angels, manifestation, energy, paranormal activity, near-death experiences, and everything in between. So I started showing up, doing some Facebook, YouTube, Instagram lives. That's where I'm streaming to at the moment. So hello. And the purpose of that in particular is just to, talk a little bit more about subjects that I'm passionate about, a little bit more from my perspective as opposed to my guest perspective. And my objective with this is essentially bring you along the same journey, or bring you along the journey that I'm on, and potentially shed some light or some different perspective on, maybe the way that you want to view the world or the way that you view the world. So that's kind of the objective for what I'm doing here. Okay, so the objective for the talk today is I wanted to talk about happiness. And one of the reasons why I chose this subject is because I feel like a lot of people struggle with happiness, and very often they look outside of themselves for things to make them happy, for things often to make them happy, or other people to make them happy. And I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit about positive thinking and, the importance of gratitude and things like that. Today, I hope that I can give you some, different perspectives on essentially how to maybe look at your relationship with happiness, your relationship with positivity, with your mind, and kind of see where you sit with that, and whether or not, you can do some additional things that will in fact support you that bit more. So I want to start off by reading a little story, and I'm sure maybe you've heard it before, but it's so good, and I just wanted to share this with you to kick things off. So it's called The Wolf You Feed. One evening, an old Cherokee told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside people. He said, "My son, the battle is between two wolves inside us all. One is evil. It is anger. It is envy. It is jealousy. It is sorrow. It is regret. It is greed and arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love. It is hope. It is serenity. It is humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The grandson thought about it for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, "Which wolf wins?" And his grandfather replied, the one you feed. So I just love that, because it just reminds me that, we're in charge of our happiness, and we're in charge of our reaction to situations as they unfold around us. You can decide how you react to something. And if you feel like you can't decide how you react to something, maybe that's something to consider, that power might be within you, that might be something that you can, in fact, tap into and learn from. So I want to talk now about some ideas or some strategies that I have that might assist you on your journey to happiness. So first of all, the concept of listening to your thoughts, that's always been a really important thing and a really big, driver for me. And basically, listening to your thoughts is essentially about taking the time to recognize that there is, a voice inside your head, and that you don't need to believe everything that voice is telling you. So, when you're listening to me, you might, on the other hand, think, well, what am I going to have for dinner? Or, that thing that happened at work today, or who's picking up my kid, or, whatever it is that's going on. So there's sort of that little voice, that kind of tape that's running in your mind. So when you can get clear that there's that happening in your mind, that's when you can actually develop the skill set and the strategies and the wherewithal to be able to stop that voice from talking about things that aren't supportive to you. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's not an easy thing to do. And anyone who I have this conversation with will say the same thing. It's not easy, but it's not impossible either. So sometimes developing strategies or things that you can do to help you to quiet that voice in your mind is really important, because sometimes our thoughts actually make life more serious, more complicated, and our thoughts are what stop us from, experiencing the moment, right? And I find, one of Eckhart Tolle's quotes that I love is basically about how, life isn't as serious as the mind makes it out to be. And that is so true. And I fully believe that, it's our mind that twists things around, that tells us to look at a situation in a different way than what was potentially really happening. That reminds us of the things that we did wrong, or reminds us of fear-based situations that could creep up in the future. So very often when you can get, quieting your mind, meditation helps with that, yoga helps with that. You can essentially learn to, have come to a place of no thought, or come to a place of less thoughts, or come to a place where you can realize that you can replace those thoughts with things that are supportive and truthful for you. So that in itself is a really big subject. I'm not going to talk too much more about that today, because, the episode is only around 20 minutes to half an hour. But I really would encourage you, if you are interested in exploring that subject, if what I've said doesn't make much sense to you at the moment, but you think, oh, there might be, something there. Eckhart Tolle's work is really important. The Power of Now, A New Earth. Those are two books of his that really stand out for me. There's another book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Stinger. That's a really good book. It talks about, the similar concept of essentially being aware of your thoughts, and how we live our life in fear constantly, and this learning to work through that. So those are a couple, reading for you if you are interested in looking at that. Now, another thing that I believe can help with happiness is the subject of self-love, or not the subject of self-love, but actual self-love. And, self-love can often, come from the thoughts that we think, right? Because if we're thinking negative thoughts, and we might not be feeling very good about ourselves. So we can flood ourselves with self-love, with things that are positive, with affirmations that, remind us how great we are, and not from a superficial point of view, but, I'm peaceful, I'm loving, I'm nurturing, I'm worthy, things like that. What that can help do is help to really build up your self-esteem, and help to make you feel good from the inside, which will eventually come through and shine brightly and beautiful on the outside. So Louise Hay, she was such a queen when it came to self-love. So if you think that, yeah, there's something here for me, then maybe I would encourage you to check out some of Louise Hay's work. She's got so many fabulous YouTube videos, books, podcasts, meditations, affirmations. Really, her work is extraordinary and transcending. So I would really recommend that you check that out. The next thing that can really help you with happiness and tapping into happiness is gratitude. So, I'm sure you've heard about it. Gratitude's the best attitude. Well, when you focus on the things that you have that you appreciate, what happens is you start to attract more of that, because what you think about is basically what comes about for you. So if you start to spend time on all the things that are working well in your life, let's pretend you have an ailment. Like for me, I've been noticing that I've been struggling with a bit of a knee thing at the moment since I started running. So I have to work very hard, and I need to remind myself of this on a regular basis as well, that I bend and flow with ease and grace, and all is well in my world. That's one thing that I tell myself to kind of make myself feel good about my knee. And then I think about, how strong my knee is and how I'm so grateful for that. And then how I'm so grateful for the rest of my body and the fact that it can go for runs, and how I'm so grateful for the air that I'm breathing and the fact that I get to run by the ocean every day, or whenever I go for a run. I don't run every day, but things like that. And eventually I take a negative and I build on it into a positive, and I focus a lot more on that gratitude. And that gratitude really just allows me to start to focus and hone on other things that are just bringing me gratitude as well. And I can tell you right now, it works. The more you focus on the things that support you, that you love, that you appreciate, the more that these things will come back to you. So let's talk about now, let's talk about, seeing opportunity in defeat. So, very often we get caught up sometimes when we have challenges or when we have things that didn't go according to plan. So for example, I started my membership business on the back of being made redundant from a full-time employment. Now, before that, I was just running my business on the side, and I was still working 45 to 50 hours a week for another business, right? So obviously that took a lot of mental energy, that took a lot of my time, and that really stopped me from essentially putting my business forward and backing myself. So when I was made redundant in March, thanks to the COVID-19 things, I had basically a decision to make. Do I want to sit here and feel bad about it, or do I want to find the silver lining and move on and do something great with it? And in fact, the Afterlight was born from that experience. So had that not happened, this podcast wouldn't happen, and I wouldn't be talking to you now. So there are so many positive things that came out of that. So I saw the opportunity there. And I will say that it doesn't mean that I didn't feel sad, and it doesn't mean that I didn't shed tears, and it doesn't mean that I didn't go through a process of grieving and loss. I did do that. I allowed myself basically a week, and then the odd day would I would feel a little bit down every so often, but believe me, I just started focusing on all the positives that were coming out of that. The fact that I now had the freedom and the capacity to be able to do what I knew that my heart wanted, my soul wanted, which was to do podcasts like this and start the membership where I could actually help business owners. So that's, an example of seeing opportunity, especially when you feel maybe downtrodden, that the power was taken away from you, all these things. It's totally normal. Allow yourself that time, but then see the silver lining, because I guarantee you there is one, even if we don't know it right away. Trust that. So spend time doing things that you love. What are you passionate about? Do you find that we get so caught up sometimes in doing things that we feel like we have to do, especially if you work a lot or if you have responsibilities on top of making a living? Not to say those responsibilities aren't fun, but sometimes they're not fun. So what is it that you can do to spend time doing something that you love? What do you love to do? I love to dance. I should probably go put on a song after this and have a boogie, actually. But the other day I was doing a yoga session just on my own in my house. And one of the songs that I put on was really good. And so I just had a little dance for a minute. And then I went back into my yoga. But, giving yourself permission to do the things that you love and to give light to that inner child inside is actually so important and so valuable. I think we spend a lot of time being super serious adults and not as much time having fun. So having fun, honestly, can lead to more joy in your life, which can lead to more happiness. And when you're happy, other people around you will feel that, and you'll start to gravitate and attract these situations that align you with other people who are feeling that same vibe. And then guess what? Your life just continues to improve. So I'd really strongly encourage you to find something that you can do that will really elevate your level of happiness. Sometimes in relation to happiness, we make decisions that aren't supportive of where we want to go or who we want to be, right? So if you find yourself in a situation and you're thinking, I'm not really sure what direction to head in, one of the suggestions I have for you is actually to ask yourself, which situation makes me feel lighter? So let's pretend you come to a fork in a road, right? And you're given an opportunity. Let me use just a random example. You're given an opportunity for a job potentially with, a lot of money, let's pretend. But on the other side, if you don't do the job, then you free yourself to do another thing that might be more in line with your values and where you want to go and who you want to be. So the question needs to be asked, which decision takes you to where you want to be and who you want to be and where you want to end up, and which takes you away from that? And the money, job situation might take you to where you want to be, right? Maybe you want to do more traveling, you want to do more work with charities. And if you're working for someone else, maybe that will allow you that opportunity. But whatever the case may be, I'd recommend that you sit and you take some time and you imagine making one decision. And then you imagine making the other decision. Chances are one of the decisions that you're going to make is going to make you feel lighter than the other one. And I would really recommend that you focus in on the one that makes you feel lighter and do whatever it is you need to do to follow that feeling. Because feeling lighter versus feeling heavy is just a really clear indication of finding peace and happiness, right? So I'd really strongly recommend that you do that exercise. One of the things that I think that, affects our happiness as well is essentially that we don't prioritize our own happiness. And I think that there are a lot of people who are happy to give and not receive. And, if you think about it as a flow or a balance or a yin and yang or, a give and receiving kind of thing, you really need to receive also and give, because you can't just give. You must receive as well, right? Because if you don't receive, then eventually your cup will be empty. That's just what's going to happen. So are there things that you can do in your life that help you prioritize your own happiness? Are you making decisions that aren't serving you? Are you making decisions that, stop you from fulfilling your potential, whatever that is for you? Okay, so this is something that rings true to you. It's really important to understand that it's okay to make your happiness a priority, because when you're happy, you will actually inspire other people to be happy, right? And then you'll attract more situations aligned with happiness and love and understanding and clarity and compassion. And then you will, feel better as a person, and you will continue to attract like-minded people. And guess what? You'll be better for everyone around you. So it is okay for you to make your happiness a priority, and it is okay for you to receive. You are worthy. Another recommendation, and this is my second last one, but my recommendation is essentially pay attention to the company that you keep. Surround yourself with people who make you feel good. Those people where you spend time with them and you just think, wow, I could spend time with them forever. They just make me feel so happy. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Who are those people? Spend more time with them, because chances are, if you're feeling good after hanging out with them, they're probably feeling good after hanging out with you too. And that's probably a balanced relationship. Whereas if you ever feel drained or depressed or down, when you're hanging out with somebody, that could be a really clear indication that that person actually is not, maybe complimenting you, or, giving you the kind of energy that you need. Because you don't want to just give, right? You want to also receive, and you want to receive that which you are giving. Some people just take. Interesting. Hey, some people just give, some people just take. It's about the balance of giving and receiving. So do a little inventory on who you spend your time with, and spend your time with people who make you feel good. Lastly, I just want to remind you that your present moment is your point of power. Your present moment, that means right now, is where you can harness the rest of your life, basically, because every single moment is just now. So if you decide that now you're going to watch your thoughts, if you're going to decide that now you're going to try to, cultivate some happiness or some joy or some fun in your life, the present moment is your point of power, where you can decide, and you can transform all of your life just with a single decision. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I really hope that you found some things that were helpful. If you did, I would really love for you to leave me a comment. I will end off as well with just reminding you that, some of the things that make me feel good, and not reminding you of that, but letting you know about some of the things that make me feel good. And maybe these are some additional ideas on things you can do to give back to yourself. So basically, I like to do yoga. I like to go for runs. I like to listen to podcasts. I like dancing. I enjoy reading good books. I like meditating and being around people who lift me up. So a lot of that I sort of covered today, but just, maybe if you have some time, write a little checklist on things that make you feel good and that do generate happiness for you. And so maybe after you've done that, make a plan to, do one of those things every week if possible, to really just elevate yourself and get you to the level where you want to be at, which is essentially feeling good, feeling happy, and not from outside forces, from things that come from within. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you about today. Thank you so much. Don't forget that, if you liked this, that I would love it if you would subscribe to the Afterlight wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review, please, and do share it with your friends, because obviously the more people that listen to this sort of stuff, the better I think the world will be, actually. Not necessarily listening to me, but listening to different perspectives. Because I think that, as you tend to grow and learn for yourself as a person and develop your own truth, that you can be more authentically you, and that really encourages other people in the world to rise up as well. All right. Thank you so much. Talk to you next week, same time. See you Instagram. And I'll see you later, Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for all your support. See ya. Hi, thanks so much for listening to the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave us a review where you listen to your podcast and share it with your friends. Thank you. New episodes every Thursday.